Breaking transfer news. United ready to sacrifice Mainoo in desperate Valverde pursuit. But Real Madrid say no. Welcome to United News, your most trusted source for Manchester United transfer breaking news and analysis. When major transfer stories break and big decisions are being made about the future of our club, you need reliable coverage that explains what's really happening behind the scenes. We've been bringing you accurate transfer updates and insider information for years, and today we're covering one of the most shocking transfer stories of the window. The question that will divide every United fan. Is trading Mainoo for Federico Valverde genius or madness? In what could be one of the most controversial transfer moves in Manchester United's recent history, reports have emerged that the club is ready to offer Mainoo plus cash in a deal to sign Real Madrid's Federico Valverde. This isn't just any ordinary transfer rumor. It's a potential move that would see United sacrifice one of their brightest young talents to land one of the world's best midfielders. The story, reported by Goal, suggests that United are so desperate to upgrade their midfield that they're willing to part with Mainoo, a player many fans see as the future of the club. But there's a massive problem with this ambitious plan. Real Madrid apparently have no intention of selling their Uruguayan star. This raises huge questions about United's transfer strategy, their faith in their young players, and whether they're making the right decisions for the long-term future of the club. Would trading Mainoo for Valverde be a masterstroke or a mistake they'd regret for years to come? The Mainoo story, from academy star to transfer bait. To understand why this potential transfer is so controversial, we need to look at what Mainoo represents for Manchester United and their fans. The academy graduate success story. Mainoo isn't just any player. He's a product of Manchester United's famous youth academy. He's one of those rare success stories that gives hope to every young player dreaming of making it at Old Trafford. The 19-year-old midfielder has come through every level of United's youth system, learning the club's values and understanding what it means to play for Manchester United. These are the kinds of players that fans have a special connection with. Breaking through under pressure. Mainoo's breakthrough into the first team came at a time when United were struggling in midfield. Instead of looking to the transfer market immediately, the club gave him his chance, and he seized it with both hands. His performances showed maturity beyond his years. He wasn't just making up the numbers. He was genuinely improving the team's performance and offering something different from United's other midfield options. International recognition. Mainoo's rapid rise has been so impressive that he's already earned recognition at international level. For such a young player to be on the radar of England's national team shows just how highly he's rated by coaches and scouts. This international interest also makes him a valuable asset. Young English players with Premier League experience are always in demand, and Mainoo fits that profile perfectly. The fan favorite factor. Perhaps most importantly, Mainoo has become a genuine fan favorite. United supporters love seeing academy graduates succeed, and he represents hope for the future in a way that expensive signings often don't. When fans see a young player who understands the club and fights for the shirt, it creates a special bond that money can't buy. Losing that connection would be painful for many supporters. Federico Valverde, the world-class target. On the other side of this potential deal is Federico Valverde, one of the most complete midfielders in world football and a player who would undoubtedly improve any team he joins. The complete modern midfielder. Valverde has everything you want in a modern midfielder. He can defend, he can attack, he has incredible stamina, and he possesses the technical ability to play in any system. At Real Madrid, he's been one of their most consistent performers, contributing to their success in both domestic and European competitions. He's proven he can perform at the highest level when the pressure is greatest. The age factor. At 26 years old, Valverde is entering the prime years of his career. He has enough experience to make an immediate impact but is still young enough to be a long-term solution for United's midfield problems. This is exactly the kind of player profile that United should be targeting, established quality with room for further development. Real Madrid quality. Playing for Real Madrid means dealing with expectations and pressure that few players ever experience. Valverde has not only survived in that environment but thrived, which suggests he has the mental strength to succeed at any big club. His experience in Champions League finals and El Clásicos would bring a winning mentality that United desperately need. The price of perfection. Of course, players of Valverde's quality don't come cheap. Real Madrid know they have a special player, and they would demand a premium price for his services. This is where the reported willingness to include Mainoo plus cash starts to make financial sense from United's perspective, even if it doesn't make emotional sense for many fans. Real Madrid's firm stance. Not for sale. The biggest obstacle to any potential deal is Real Madrid's apparent unwillingness to sell Valverde at any price. A key player at the Bernabeu. From Real Madrid's perspective, Valverde isn't just another squad player they could afford to lose. He's a key part of their plans and a player they see as central to their future success. Real Madrid have spent years developing Valverde into the player he is today. Selling him now would mean losing all that investment just when he's reaching his peak. The Florentino Perez factor. Real Madrid president Florentino Perez is known for his reluctance to sell key players, especially to clubs that could become future rivals in European competition. Even if United offered an enormous fee, Perez might prefer to keep Valverde rather than strengthen a potential Champions League opponent. Contract situation. Valverde's contract situation at Real Madrid also works against any potential transfer. If he has several years remaining on his deal, Madrid have no pressure to sell and can simply reject any approaches. Players of his quality rarely force moves when they're at clubs like Real Madrid, so United would need Madrid to be willing sellers, which they clearly aren't. The replacement problem. Even if Madrid were tempted by a huge offer, they would need to find a replacement of similar quality. In the current transfer market, that's easier said than done. Quality midfielders are rare and expensive, and Madrid might prefer to keep what they have rather than gamble on finding someone better. United's midfield desperation. To understand why United might be willing to make such a controversial move, we need to look at their current midfield situation. The Casemiro problem. Casemiro was supposed to be the answer to United's midfield problems when he arrived from Real Madrid. But age and the demands of Premier League football have caught up with the Brazilian. His performances have declined noticeably, and there are growing questions about whether he can still perform at the level United need from their defensive midfielder. Lack of quality options. Beyond Casemiro and Mainoo, United's midfield options are limited. They need more quality and depth if they're going to compete with the top teams in the Premier League in Europe. The gap in quality between United's midfield and that of teams like Manchester City and Arsenal is obvious to anyone who watches them play. The Champions League factor. If United want to qualify for the Champions League and then compete in it, they need better players in key positions. Valverde would instantly upgrade their midfield to elite level. This might be the thinking behind their willingness to sacrifice a promising young player for proven quality. Time pressure on Amorim. Ruben Amorim is under pressure to deliver results quickly. He might feel that he can't afford to wait for young players like Mainoo to fully develop when proven stars like Valverde are potentially available. This creates a tension between long-term planning and short-term success that all managers at big clubs have to navigate. The financial mathematics. From a purely financial perspective, the reported structure of this potential deal makes some sense for United. Valverde's market value. Federico Valverde is worth probably over £100 million in the current transfer market. For a player of his quality and age, that might actually be reasonable value. United would struggle to pay that kind of fee in cash, especially with financial fair play regulations to consider. Mainoo's rising value. Kobbie Mainoo's value has increased dramatically over the past year as his reputation has grown. Including him in a deal would reduce the cash United need to find. Young English players with Premier League experience always command premium fees, so Mainoo could be worth £40 to £50 million already. The cash component. Even with Mainoo included, United would still need to add significant cash to make the deal attractive to Real Madrid. This could still end up costing them £60 to £80 million. For many fans, spending that much while also losing a promising young player would be hard to accept. FFP considerations. Using players as part of exchange deals can sometimes help clubs navigate financial fair play regulations more easily than pure cash transactions. This might be part of United's thinking, especially if they're close to FFP limits. Fan reactions. A community divided. The mere suggestion of trading Mainoo for Valverde has already divided Manchester United's fanbase. The pro-Valverde camp. Some fans argue that this would be exactly the kind of ruthless decision that successful clubs make. They point out that Valverde is proven world-class quality while Mainoo, despite his promise, is still developing. These supporters believe that United need to prioritize winning trophies now over sentimental attachment to young players. The Mainoo loyalists. Other fans are horrified by the idea of selling one of their most promising academy graduates. They argue that Mainoo represents the future of the club and that selling him would be a betrayal of United's values. These supporters worry that the club is making the same mistakes as in the past by prioritizing expensive signings over developing their own talent. The pragmatic middle. A third group of fans can see both sides of the argument. They love Mainoo but recognize that Valverde would improve the team immediately. These supporters are torn between their emotional attachment to the young English midfielder and their desire to see United competing at the highest level again. The academy concern. Many fans worry about what this potential deal would say to other young players in United's academy. If someone as promising as Mainoo can be traded away, what does that mean for the next generation of talents? This could have implications beyond just this one transfer. The tactical implications. From a purely tactical perspective, how would swapping Mainoo for Valverde affect Manchester United's playing style? Different player profiles. Mainoo and Valverde are quite different players despite both being midfielders. Mainoo is more of a box-to-box player with great potential, while Valverde is an established world-class talent with proven ability at the highest level. This means United's tactical approach might need to change depending on which player they have available. Amorim's system. Ruben Amorim would need to consider how each player fits into his preferred 3-4-3 system. Valverde might be better suited to the demands of playing in a midfield too, while Mainoo's energy and running could be perfect for a more dynamic role. The tactical fit is just as important as the individual quality of each player. Experience versus potential. Valverde brings proven experience of playing in the biggest games for one of the world's biggest clubs. Mainoo offers potential and the hunger that comes with having everything still to prove. Both qualities are valuable, but they serve different purposes depending on what United need most right now. Long-term planning. From a long-term perspective, keeping Mainoo might make more sense as he could serve United for the next 10 to 15 years. Valverde might only have 5 to 8 years at the top level remaining. This is the classic dilemma between short-term success and long-term planning that all big clubs face. The transfer market reality. This potential deal also needs to be viewed in the context of the current transfer market. Premium for English players. English players, especially young ones with potential, command premium fees in the transfer market. This makes Mainoo a valuable asset that could appeal to Real Madrid. However, Madrid might prefer cash that they can use to buy exactly the type of player they want rather than being limited to what United can offer. Alternative options. If this deal doesn't happen, United would need to look at alternative ways to upgrade their midfield. The options available might not be as good as Valverde but could still improve the team. Similarly, if Madrid did sell Valverde, they would need to find a replacement, which might not be easy in the current market. Timing pressures. Transfer windows create artificial deadlines that can force clubs to make decisions they might not otherwise make. This could work for or against United depending on how desperate they are to make changes. Market inflation. The general inflation in transfer fees means that £100 million might not buy as much as it used to. This makes player plus cash deals more attractive for clubs trying to maximize their purchasing power. What this says about United's strategy. This reported interest in a Mainoo Valverde swap reveals quite a bit about Manchester United's current transfer strategy and priorities. Win-now mentality. The willingness to trade potential for proven quality suggests that United are prioritizing immediate success over long-term development. This might reflect pressure from fans, owners, or the manager to deliver results quickly rather than waiting for young players to develop. Midfield priority. The focus on upgrading the midfield shows that United recognize this as their biggest weakness. Getting this position right is crucial for everything else they want to achieve. Financial creativity. Using players as part of deals shows that United are having to be creative with their finances, possibly due to FFP restrictions or limited cash resources. Risk versus reward. This potential deal represents a high-risk, high-reward strategy. If Valverde performs as expected, it could be a masterstroke. If it doesn't work out, United will have lost a promising young player for nothing. The historical precedent. Manchester United have made similar decisions in the past, with mixed results. Successful veteran signings. Players like Robin van Persie and Zlatan Ibrahimovic showed that experienced stars can make immediate impacts at United. Both players helped the club achieve important objectives despite being in the later stages of their careers. Academy success stories. On the other hand, United's history is built on developing young players like George Best, Ryan Giggs, and Paul Scholes. These players became legends partly because they came through the academy system. Regrettable sales. United have also made mistakes by selling promising young players too early. Players like Jadon Sancho and Angel Gomez left United and found success elsewhere, leading to regrets about what might have been. The Ferguson philosophy. Sir Alex Ferguson was famous for knowing when to stick with young players and when to buy experienced stars. Finding this balance was one of the keys to his success. What would success look like? If this deal were to happen, what would constitute success for Manchester United? Immediate impact. Valverde would need to make an immediate positive impact on United's performances. If the team doesn't improve significantly, fans will question whether the trade was worth it. Trophy success. Ultimately, this kind of deal only makes sense if it helps United win trophies. Champions League qualification, Premier League success, or cup victories would justify the decision. No regrets about Mainoo. United would need to be confident that Mainoo wouldn't become a world-class player elsewhere. If he develops into a star at Real Madrid while United struggle, the criticism would be intense. Long-term stability. Even if Valverde is successful, United would eventually need to replace him as he ages. The club would need to have a plan for this transition. The alternative scenarios. There are several ways this story could develop, each with different implications for Manchester United. Deal falls through. The most likely scenario is that Real Madrid's refusal to sell ends any possibility of a deal. This would leave United needing to look at other options for upgrading their midfield. Alternative Madrid players. If Madrid won't sell Valverde, United might explore deals for other Madrid players who might be more available. Keep Mainoo, buy someone else. United could decide to keep Mainoo and find the cash to buy a different midfielder who might not be quite as good as Valverde but would still improve the team. Wait and develop. The final option would be to stick with Mainoo and other young players, accepting that success might take longer but could be more sustainable in the long run. The bigger picture. This potential transfer needs to be seen in the context of United's broader rebuild under new ownership and management. Cultural identity. Part of Manchester United's identity is built on developing young players and giving them opportunities. Trading away promising academy graduates could undermine this culture. Financial sustainability. Building a team around expensive veteran signings might not be financially sustainable in the long term, especially with FFP regulations becoming stricter. Competitive balance. United need to find the right balance between experienced players and young talent. Too much of either can create problems. Fan connection. The emotional connection between fans and homegrown players is special and shouldn't be underestimated when making these decisions. Conclusion. A deal that could define United's future. The reported interest in trading Kobbie Mainoo plus cash for Federico Valverde represents one of the most significant potential decisions Manchester United could make in the current transfer window. It's a move that would send shockwaves through the footballing world and divide opinion among United supporters. On one hand, the logic is compelling. Valverde is a proven world-class midfielder who would instantly upgrade United's most problematic position. He has the experience, quality, and winning mentality that the club desperately needs. In the ruthless world of modern football, sentiment sometimes has to take a back seat to practical necessity. On the other hand, Kobbie Mainoo represents everything that Manchester United traditionally stands for. He's a homegrown talent who understands the club, has the potential to become a world-class player himself, and provides the kind of emotional connection between team and supporters that money can't buy. The fact that Real Madrid apparently see Valverde as not for sale might make this entire discussion academic. But the mere suggestion that United would be willing to make such a trade reveals a lot about their current priorities and approach to squad building. If United are serious about competing with the world's best teams, they need world-class players in key positions. Valverde would undoubtedly provide that. But they also need to maintain their identity as a club that develops and believes in young talent. The challenge for United's decision-makers is finding the right balance between these sometimes competing priorities. Get it right, and they could have the foundation for sustained success. Get it wrong, and they could sacrifice their future for short-term gains that might not even materialize. For fans, this potential deal raises uncomfortable questions about what kind of club United want to be. Are they willing to sacrifice their values for success? Or should they stick to their principles even if it means taking longer to achieve their goals? The answer to that question might depend on how patient supporters are willing to be and how much faith they have in the current leadership's ability to build something special at Old Trafford. At Unite United News, we'll continue following this story and any developments that emerge. Whether this deal happens or not, it represents a crucial moment in United's evolution as a club. Keep checking back with Unite United News for all the latest transfer updates and analysis. When major decisions about United's future are being made, you need coverage that explains not just what's happening, but what it all means for the club you love. The next few weeks could be crucial in determining whether Manchester United prioritize proven quality or potential, immediate success or long-term building. Whatever they decide, it will have implications that stretch far beyond just one transfer window.